A 68-year-old man stands before Judge Caprio. Red light violation. Speeding in a school zone. 2 citations should cost him hundreds of dollars he doesn't have. Judge Caprio reviews the video evidence on his screen. The violations are clear. No dispute about the facts. Then he notices something in the paperwork. A small notation. Vietnam veteran 1968 to 1970. Everything changes. What happens next when Judge Caprio learns this man served in one of America's most controversial wars and came home to a country that didn't appreciate his sacrifice? Becomes one of the most emotional moments his courtroom has ever witnessed. Stay until the end because this isn't about tickets. This is about honor, sacrifice, and a debt that can never be repaid. Subscribe if you believe veterans deserve better than what they often receive. Tuesday afternoon, 2:45 p.m. The bailiff's voice echoes. Case 22341. Stephen Tallow. Red light violation and speeding in a school zone. An older man walks to the podium. Late 60s, maybe early 70s. Gray hair neatly trimmed. Clean but worn clothing. Jeans with careful creases. A button-down shirt that's seen better days, but is freshly pressed. Work boots old but polished. He moves carefully, deliberately. There's a slight hitch in his step. An old injury maybe. Good afternoon, sir. Afternoon, Your Honor. His voice is quiet, respectful, the kind of voice that's used to following orders and showing deference to authority. Judge Caprio glances at his screen. Mr. Tallow, you're facing 2 citations today. The first is running a red light at the intersection of Broad and Friendship. The second is traveling 47 miles per hour in a 25 miles per hour school zone. These are both fairly serious violations. Stephen nods. Yes, sir. I understand that. Let me pull up the red light camera footage so we can review what happened. The screen shows the intersection. Clear day. Traffic light visible. Stephen's older pickup truck approaching. The light is clearly red. The truck doesn't slow down significantly. Proceeds through the intersection. Mr. Tallow, that light was red for approximately 2 full seconds before you entered. Can you help me understand what happened? Stephen shifts his weight. Your Honor, I saw the light. I know it was red. I was having trouble with my vision that day. Glare from the sun, maybe. By the time I realized I needed to stop, I was already committed to the intersection. I made a bad judgment call. Honest, direct, no excuses, just accepting responsibility. And the school zone speeding, that one I don't have an explanation for, sir. I wasn't paying close enough attention to my speed. The limit dropped, and I didn't adjust quickly enough. My fault entirely. Judge Caprio studies him. This man isn't making excuses, isn't arguing, isn't claiming the equipment was wrong or the signs were unclear. He's just owning his mistakes. Mr. Tallow, these violations carry significant fines. The red light is typically $300. School zone speeding can be as high as $500 given the enhanced penalties for child safety zones. That's potentially $800 in fines plus points on your license. Stephen's face doesn't change expression, but something in his eyes flickers. $800. That's a lot of money. I understand, Your Honor. I'll pay whatever the court requires. His voice is steady, but Judge Caprio can hear something underneath. Resignation, maybe, or worry. Judge Caprio looks back at the paperwork in front of him, scrolls down. Then he sees it, a notation in the file that wasn't immediately visible. Mr. Tallow, I see here that you're a military veteran. Is that correct? Yes, sir. Army. Served in Vietnam. Judge Caprio's entire demeanor changes. He sits back in his chair. His voice softens. What years were you in Vietnam? 68 to 70, Your Honor. 2 tours, infantry. Spent most of my time in the Mekong Delta region. Those years, the height of the war, some of the worst fighting. Stephen would have been what, 19, 20 years old? A kid sent halfway around the world to fight in jungles against an enemy he didn't understand for reasons nobody could adequately explain. That must have been incredibly difficult. Stephen gives a small shrug. We did what we were trained to do, sir. Tried to come home alive. There's a weight in those words. Not everyone did come home alive. Stephen knows that better than most. Judge Caprio leans forward slightly. Mr. Tallow, I want to say something to you, and I want everyone in this courtroom to hear it. You served your country during one of the most challenging and controversial conflicts in American history. You were asked to fight a war that many people didn't understand or support. And when you came home... He pauses. Everyone in the courtroom is listening intently. When you came home, you weren't treated the way you deserved to be treated. Vietnam veterans came back to a country that in many cases didn't appreciate their sacrifice, didn't honor their service, sometimes actively protested against them. That was wrong. That was shameful. Stephen's jaw tightens slightly. He's not used to hearing this. Most Vietnam vets learned long ago not to expect gratitude. So I want to thank you on behalf of this court, this community, and this country. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for doing something most people, including myself, never had to do. The courtroom is completely silent. Stephen's eyes are glistening slightly, but he maintains his composure. I appreciate that, Your Honor. Really. But I'm not here asking for special treatment because I'm a veteran. I broke traffic laws. I should face the same consequences as anyone else. Judge Caprio shakes his head slightly. That's very honorable of you, Mr. Tallow. But let me ask you something. Are you currently working? No, sir. I'm retired, living on my VA pension and Social Security. It's not much, but I manage. And $800 in fines would represent a significant financial burden. Stephen hesitates. Pride wars with honesty. Honesty wins. Yes, sir. It would. That's about a month's worth of expenses for me. But I'll find a way to pay it. Maybe set up a payment plan if the court allows that. A month's worth of expenses. This man is living that close to the edge. After serving his country, after doing what his government asked him to do, after coming home to inadequate support and recognition. Judge Caprio types something into his computer. Everyone watches, wondering what he's going to do. Mr. Tallow, here's what we're going to do. The red light violation and the school zone speeding, those violations did occur. The evidence is clear. Normally, as I said, we're looking at approximately $800 in fines. Stephen nods, prepared to accept it. However, I'm going to reduce your total fine to $25. Stephen blinks. I'm sorry, Your Honor. Did you say $25? $25 total for both violations. There's an audible reaction in the courtroom. Murmurs. Someone whispers, Wow. Your Honor, that's extremely generous. But like I said, I'm not asking for special treatment. You're not asking. I'm giving. And Mr. Tallow, here's the other thing. That $25, you're not going to pay it. Now Stephen looks genuinely confused. I don't understand, sir. Judge Caprio gestures to the courtroom. This courtroom, this community, we have people who contribute to what we call the Philomena Fund. It's named after my mother. It exists to help people who are facing financial hardship when they come before this court. People contribute to this fund specifically because they want to help others. He looks directly at Stephen. You served this country. You sacrificed for people you never met in a place most Americans couldn't even find on a map. You came home and you've lived quietly asking for nothing special. So today, the Philomena Fund is going to cover your $25 fine. Stephen's composure finally cracks. His voice shakes. Your Honor, I can't. That's not right. I should pay for my mistakes. You've paid enough, Mr. Tallow. You paid when you were 19 years old in the jungles of Vietnam. You paid when you came home to a country that didn't thank you. You've paid every day since then, carrying whatever memories and scars, visible and invisible, that you brought back with you. The entire courtroom is emotional now. Several people are openly crying. So, here's my ruling. Your citations are resolved. Fee paid by the Philomena Fund. No points on your license. Case closed. Judge Caprio makes a note in his computer, then looks back at Stephen. And Mr. Tallow, please be more careful going forward. We need veterans like you around. We can't afford to lose any more of you. Stephen can't speak. He just nods, swallowing hard, blinking back tears. Then something unexpected happens. One person in the gallery starts clapping. Then another. Then everyone. The entire courtroom rises in a standing ovation for Stephen Tallow, Vietnam veteran who came to court expecting to pay $800 he didn't have and instead received something he hadn't experienced in 50 years. Genuine heartfelt gratitude. Stephen stands there, overwhelmed, as dozens of strangers applaud him. He raises his hand slightly, not quite a wave, more an acknowledgement, and you can see him struggling to maintain his military bearing while emotions threaten to overwhelm him. After the hearing, Stephen tries to leave quietly, but people approach him in the hallway. An older man, probably in his 70s, extends his hand. I'm Robert Patterson, Marine Corps, Vietnam, 67 to 68. Welcome home, brother. Stephen shakes his hand, and something passes between them, an understanding, a shared experience that nobody else can fully comprehend. Welcome home to you, too. A younger woman approaches, maybe in her 40s. Mr. Tallow, my father was in Vietnam, 101st Airborne. He passed away 5 years ago. I just wanted to say thank you. He never got the recognition he deserved either. What Judge Caprio did in there, my dad would have appreciated seeing that. I'm sorry about your father, ma'am. What was his name? Thomas Brennan. Captain? I'll remember him. Another person, a man in his 50s. Mr. Tallow, I'm James Chin. I run a small automotive repair shop here in Providence. I heard the judge mention you're living on a fixed income. If your truck ever needs work, bring it by. Veterans get 50% off parts and labor. Stephen's eyes widen. Sir, that's not necessary. It's necessary to me. My grandfather came to this country as a refugee after the Vietnam War. American soldiers helped his family escape. I consider it paying forward. A woman approaches with a tissue, wiping her own eyes. I'm Angela Morrison. I work at Providence Community Services. We have a program that helps veterans with various needs: food assistance, help with utility bills, medical copay assistance. Here's my card. Please call if you ever need anything. Stephen is overwhelmed. He came to court alone, expecting to face consequences. Now he's surrounded by people offering help, expressing gratitude, connecting him to resources. The video of the hearing goes viral within hours. Comments flood in from around the world. This is how we should treat all veterans. Judge Caprio showing what real patriotism looks like. That standing ovation made me cry. 68-year-old Vietnam vet gets the respect he deserved 50 years ago. Within 2 days, the Providence Veterans Center receives over $15,000 in donations, specifically designated to help Vietnam veterans. The donors reference Stephen Tallow's case and express desire to support veterans facing financial hardship. Someone starts a GoFundMe for Stephen himself. He doesn't ask for it. Doesn't even know about it initially, but word spreads. Vietnam vet who went to traffic court gets help from community. $22,000 is raised in a week. When Stephen finds out, he tries to refuse it. That money should go to veterans who need it more than me. The organizer responds, Mr. Tallow, you are a veteran who needs it. And besides, people gave this specifically for you. They want you to have it. Accept it with the grace you showed in that courtroom. Eventually, he does. Uses some of it to fix his truck, which had been held together with prayers and duct tape. Donates a significant portion to the local VA hospital. Keeps enough to stop worrying about whether he can afford groceries and medication in the same month. 6 months later, Judge Caprio invites Stephen back to the courthouse. Not for another violation, for a ceremony. The Rhode Island Veterans Association is honoring Stephen as Veteran of the Year. not for heroic combat action, but for embodying the quiet dignity and selfless service that defined an entire generation of Vietnam veterans who never received the recognition they deserved. At the ceremony, Judge Caprio speaks. Stephen Tallow came to this court prepared to take responsibility for his actions, prepared to pay fines he could barely afford, never asking for special treatment, never using his service as an excuse. That's character. That's honor. That's what we should all aspire to. Stephen receives his award, shakes hands with dozens of people, and for the first time in 54 years since he came home from Vietnam, he feels something he hasn't felt since before he got on that plane to Southeast Asia. Truly welcomed home. Subscribe to the Narrator for moments when gratitude is finally expressed, and when 50 years late is better than never. Stephen Tallow came to court expecting to pay $800 he didn't have. He left with his fines covered, his dignity restored, and a community that finally said thank you the way they should have. In 1970, Judge Caprio proved that it's never too late to honor service. That veterans who came home to protests and indifference still deserve gratitude. And that sometimes justice means recognizing that some debts, like defending your country, can never truly be repaid. Stephen taught us that asking for nothing doesn't mean you deserve nothing. That quiet dignity and acceptance of responsibility are marks of true character. And that 54 years of carrying the weight of an unwelcome homecoming can be lightened by a single moment of genuine appreciation. Comment below. Do we do enough for our Vietnam veterans? How can we do better?